They'll start
Lord have mercy, man.
Guys, just tuning in. Welcome to our people. Let's talk. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is women who don't want to invest in a relationship.
And who say that they don't want to invest money into the relationship. I want you to respond to that.
For a woman that is looking for someone to bankroll everything, right, is what I'm interpreting, before they're even in any sort of serious commitment, marriage, or just monogamous relationship, she's in it for what she can get while she's present. And that's a very common perspective earlier in life, I would say.
Yes.
Like, late teens, early 20s. It's all about what you can get for as long as you can keep his attention, because at that point in life, it's just about quick experiences and you don't yet know how to sustain anything long term. So how am I going to wait until we're in a monogamous relationship when me and the dudes don't ever get there? I'm only with them for 3-4 dates and that's it. So I got to get you while I can. And it's not anything that I would encourage, but I'm also not going to sit here and act like I'm ignorant to what's going on in the streets.
Right.
Like I know what's going on. And so that's why we say to the men, you also need to pre-qualify these women. Like, where is she? Where is she mentally? Where is she intellectually? Why is she interested in you? What does she want from you? What happens if you don't pay for it? Then what?
Women who don't want to invest in a relationship. I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, Lady Di. Then we'll go to Lucky.
So women who don't want to invest in a relationship, I feel like she's giving like the excuse on why, but it's just simply because, like I said before, that some of us are lazy. We don't want to put in the required work that it takes to even get the relationship, keep the relationship, get the marriage, keep the marriage. Everything is like, I give up. I don't want to do this. You're not doing this enough. Matter of fact, you ain't tall enough and all this silly nonsense. You're not taking out the trash enough. Like, it's silly stuff. It's like every time I see someone like ladies decide to break up their relationship, I always want to know why. And every time I hear the reason why, it's never nothing substantial. It's always something that makes no sense and is very small. So that is just part of the reason why I believe ladies don't want to invest in a relationship. Because when you get into a relationship, I mean, like I mentioned before, keeping the relationship, you're going to have guys challenge you, because if you have a leader of a man, you have to be a certain way. If you're not that certain way, the guy can still entertain you because he may see potential in you. And he can say, hey, these are the things that I think, you need to work on. I'm not trying to get into the details, but there are things. And the lady has to put in work to make those changes. What happens is they're like, you can't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. And then that's when the nonsense starts. No one can tell you what to do. So you're going to end up being miserable, not having the things that you really want because you didn't want to make the change. That is the lazy part I'm talking about. That's just a relationship. Imagine the marriage. Marriage is not, I don't want to say it's hard. I like my marriage. It's not that it's hard. It's just that before people get married, they're not even wives and husbands yet. They just getting married to get the paper. You never qualified for a wife. You never qualified for a husband, because if you qualify for a husband, you wouldn't pick someone that's not a wife. So that's the problem that I'm seeing, is that people are getting in these relationships when they don't need to be in one. They need to fix what's going on with themselves first, and then collectively come together and work together. No one has to be perfect to get into a relationship. The relationship is practice. Once you practice, figure it out, move on to the next step, get married when you got it together, and then you still have to grow.
Kaboom.
Who's that saying kaboom?
Me. Sorry. That was great.
All right, go ahead, Lucky. Then we'll go to Lady Chan.
I agree. And I would just add, and I would say women who don't want to invest in a relationship don't get a relationship. I think the women that do want to invest in a relationship, they get the relationship. You get what you invest into. So most of the time, like in the video, she just said I'm just going to paraphrase. She said something about they don't really stay on a date. Like after X amount of dates, it's over. That means that they're only interested in the high roller coaster type of experience. They're just dating on a dating high. They're not trying to invest into an actual relationship. So I think it's quite simple in her analogy. If they're getting pushed to the side, it's because those women were not investing into a relationship. They were just investing into what they got. So when you talk about working, like Lady Di just mentioned, they don't want to put the work in. I think also I thought of women put the work in the beginning to try to hook the man, just like sometimes we could say men do that, but ultimately they hook them, but then they don't keep it up. So I definitely think women who don't want to invest in a relationship, those are the women that don't get a relationship, which is why we are here today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's in. Sorry, is it my go, JR?
Yeah, go ahead, Lady J.
Okay. Everything what the girl said, yep. My sentiments. I think it's also important to like with me and my boyfriend before getting married, like I'm Catholic, so we have to go to counseling with the priest for like a period of like 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, before we get married, you know, and iron out just stuff within faith and stuff with that, because it's important, because if you want the marriage to work, you got to try and at least iron out the kinks. And like my boyfriend's not dating to just date. My boyfriend, there's no other alternative. He's just dating for marriage, and he said that to me from the jump. So like you do have to vet people, like you said, not everybody's wives, not everybody's husbands. I haven't been a wife. I've got kids. I haven't been a wife. But it doesn't mean that I'm not prepared to be one. But I respect the women that are wives. So there's stuff that I can learn from, like my sister. She's been married for 30 years. There's stuff that I can learn from Lady Di. You know, I'll check out your page on the gram. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you got to invest, put your money in the bank. You want to return. Same thing with a relationship and a marriage, I think.
All right, go ahead, Ali. What are your thoughts about it? Women don't want to invest in a relationship.
I could just say it like this. You got to
Hello.
work.
Before you start, Ali, are you pro woman?
Family.
Pro family.
Okay. You got to work for a job. You got to work for a degree. You got to work for God. You got to work to get into heaven. You got to work for women. You got to work for children. And this is mostly to the ladies. Like, who are you to think that you don't have to work for a great man? You know? And I think, and just back to probably what Mr. Lego and Lucky said earlier, women are so used to just getting men for doing nothing but having good looks and expressing their sexuality, that when they finally get a good man, they don't even know how to be a good woman. So they just create a problem with that man or push that man away to make an excuse for why they couldn't be a good woman. Or if they get that guy that makes $100,000 or all the traits they wanted, they find a way to enhance that to make it so they still don't get the guy that they want. So you got to work. You got to put in work for what you want. You got to serve your children and you got to serve your man.